project on ECO land care program on combating desertification in ECO region evidently deserves due attention in terms of its political future impact. The overreaching goal of the project is to exert regional efforts to tackle with the shared challenges, notably prevent, control and reverse desertification and land degradation, as well as mitigate effects of drought in our region. Combating desertification has reflected in ECO land care program and its roadmap for implementation aligned with international community, inter alia the Convention to Combat Desertification. To fulfill this regional program, the ECO Secretariat would like to request the UNCCD to support this regional initiative that aims to promote the positive role of sustainable land management. As a Secretariat, facilitating and realizing activities under guidance of our member states, we welcome establishing partnership relations with UNCCD and other relevant international and regional institutions, as well as developing and founding partners to contribute to the global commitment towards addressing challenges of land degradation. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate the ECO, Economic Cooperation Organization, has always supported the UN Sustainable Development Goals. I would like to assure that the ECO remains ever receptive and ready to make activities in its pertinent areas of cooperation with the neighboring nations, interested countries, as well as the relevant regional international organizations. ECO also reiterates its support to United Nations-backed programs and initiatives in our member states. I thank you all for your kind attention.
I thank the Economic Cooperation Organization for its statement, and I would like to give the floor to the Republic of Moldova. Republic of Moldova, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Moldova, I would like to congratulate and thank the government of Cote d'Ivoire and the UNCCD Secretariat for the good organization and conduct of COP15. And for the delegates who arrive here in Abidjan, I wish them a fruitful activity together and to find the best solutions to sustainably govern the most precious. My name is Aliona, and I represent the Republic of Moldova, one of the Eastern European countries that has an economy based on the agriculture. Of course, for me and for my compatriots, the most precious natural resource is soil, land, an invaluable national wealth, because my country has no oil, no gas, no brilliance, only fertile soil. I am a daughter of a farmer who raised me and educated me with love and care for soil, for land. Always being with my father at home and in the field, I got used to and know the soil well by color, structure, and even smell. But at present, the Republic of Moldova is facing serious problems of soil, land degradation, the causes being multiple and complex. The main factor is anthropic. Life and economic activity leave a serious mark on the soil. Climate change, biodiversity degradation, and droughts catalyze the process of desertification, causing soil loss. Every 4 years, the Republic of Moldova faces droughts that cause economic losses of over 50% of national income. In order to support this unfortunate phenomena, the Republic of Moldova has aligned itself with the implementation of UNCCD policies. Today, my country has managed to present the report on setting targets for achieving LDN, has joined the drought initiative elaborated elaborated the National Drought Plan. These documents are well written and with clear arguments, and on how we can promote sustainable policies in soil and land management. But for the action on paper to become a reality, financial support is needed. Moldova is a country with a transition economy, and as a beginner in private agriculture, does not have enough financial resources to support farmers to implement sustainable soil protection projects and practices. Based on this, dear COP participants, donors and partners, I propose to create the Global Soil Fund, analogous to the Green Climate Fund or Worldwide Fund, with the destination and direct access of the governments of developing and underdeveloped countries, because only fertile soil can be the key to stopping climate and biodiversity degradation. It depends on our decisions today. Whatever my children will have a bread on the table. Thank you.
I thank Moldova for the statement. Thank you very much. I will give the floor now to the Human Rights Office. You have the floor.
Thank you. The Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights is really pleased to participate at this COP. The certification, land degradation and drought affect the enjoyment of a wide range of human rights, and the people most affected are those that are already in vulnerable situations, including many who depend on nature for their livelihoods. As a result, states have procedural and substantive obligations under international law to address the certification, land degradation, and drought. And these obligations should be reflected in all relevant laws, policies, and programs. We urge parties to integrate human rights in their decisions at COP15 and their implementation of the Convention as a matter of legal obligation, of policy coherence, and of effectiveness. COP decision number 26 from 2019 incorporates elements of a rights-based approach, and the Global Land Outlook highlights that land restoration provides unique entry points to apply human rights-based approaches that improve natural resource use and environmental management. COP15 presents a number of opportunities to further advance a rights-based approach to desertification, land degradation, and droughts. In 2021, the UN Human Rights Council passed a landmark resolution recognizing that a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment is a human right for everyone. Healthy ecosystems, including on land, are an essential component of this right. UN Human Rights urges you to reflect this in your decision on land tenure by integrating explicit references to the right to participation in the decisions on land tenure and participation of civil society organizations. The COP can support improved outcomes that are consistent with states' human rights obligations. A strong decision on gender, guided by the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women and the conclusion of the 67th session of the Committee on the Status of Women, can also further advance inclusive and participatory action. Finally, since desertification, land degradation, and drought disproportionately affect persons in vulnerable situations, we urge you to ensure their inclusion and participation and protect and fulfill their rights, including from businesses which have a responsibility to respect human rights as well. UN Human Rights looks forward to supporting you in these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, UN Human Rights Office, for this statement, and I will give now the floor to the International Union for Conservation of Nature. IUCN, you have the floor.
Many thanks for giving us the floor. This COP is very timely. As the world gradually starts to reopen and the pandemic shows some signs of slowing down, we must not lose sight of a common cause: maintaining healthy nature and ecosystems, our life support systems. Mr. President, as parties continue to set and achieve their land degradation neutrality targets, perfection their nationally determined contributions, accelerate efforts to halt and reverse the loss of biodiversity, implement the Sustainable Development Goals, and strived to achieve a nature-positive world by 2030, IUCN has some messages to highlight at this juncture. The adoption and implementation of nature-based solutions as the preferred option for national LDN target achievement is encouraged, as is strengthening enabling policies to enhance public and private investment in land degradation neutrality and land restoration. Indeed, we observe that investment in land restoration as a nature-based solution to tackle drought can generate co-benefits for climate change mitigation and adaptation, biodiversity conservation, socioeconomic development, food and water security. We must also value the contribution of grasslands and rangelands to biodiversity conservation and connectivity in the production landscapes. But efforts must not be steered by governments alone. Securing and increasing the participation and engagement of indigenous people organizations, women, youth, the private sector, and civil society at large in UNCCD, and committing to creating and supporting innovative partnerships to scale up land restoration are essential. We join the calls made by the executive secretaries of the UNCCD and the CBD these last 2 days to enhance synergies across the Rio Conventions. Collaboration is a prerequisite for success. We must seize the opportunity of the ongoing negotiations towards the adoption of a post-2020 global biodiversity framework to further emphasize and demonstrate the role of managed ecosystems for biodiversity conservation. And finally, there are many efforts we should cherish. Let us rally around the Great Green Wall Initiative and ramp up collective work towards achieving large-scale economic, social, and biodiversity impact across the Sahel and beyond. Mr. President, let us honor land, life, and legacy and move from scarcity to prosperity. IUCN stands ready to join this movement. Many thanks.
I thank IUCN for the statement, and I will now give the floor to the Food and Agriculture Organization. You have the floor now.
Good morning and thank you. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations would like to thank the government of Côte d'Ivoire for hosting this 15th session of the Conference of Parties of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, and appreciates the opportunity to address urgent issues relevant for consideration of the parties during this opening session. According to FAO report, the state of the world's land and water resources, the food and agriculture, to be launched at this COP, the pressures on soils, land and water resources are pushing their productive capacity to the limit, with alarming impacts on the food security and livelihoods of millions of people. It has become clear that our agri-food systems are not sustainable. We need to take urgent and bold actions to meet the growing demand for food, feed, biofuel, and fiber, while conserving biodiversity and reducing the burden on natural resources and ecosystems. Addressing land degradation through a holistic landscape and crucial for food security and resilient livelihoods. FAO believes that land protection, restoration, and sustainable use stay at the heart of agri-food system transformation. The State of the World Forest 2022, launched at the 15th World Forestry Congress 2 days ago, confirmed again the three interrelated pathways to support economic and environment recovery. And they are: 1, halting land degradation; 2, restoring degraded lands; and 3, sustainably using land and building green value chains. In this context, FAO promotes agri-food system transformation that contribute to land degradation neutrality while increasing productivity, adapting to changing demands and lifestyles in line with FAO vision for the four betters: better production, better nutrition, better environment, and a better life. Ladies and gentlemen, in this context, FAO promotes agri-food system transformation that contribute to land degradation neutrality while increasing productivity. The UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, co-led by FAO and UNEP, offers an excellent opportunity to achieve the large-scale restoration of millions of hectares of degraded land between now and 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, FAO missions and the work of the UNCCD are closely aligned. Following COP14 Decision 26, FAO and UNCCD Secretariat developed a guide to integrate voluntary guidelines on responsible governance of tenure of land, fisheries and forests in the context of national food security into UNCCD and land degradation neutrality implementation, which will be launched in the next 5 minutes. To this end, FAO has developed many tools, methods, and policy guidelines, providing monitoring data through FAOStat and support countries to apply innovative geospatial data systems and cost-effective digital agriculture tools. FAO and UNCCD are now working hand in hand to enable the implementation of national drought plans and to optimize innovative financing methods for drought and risk management. As an implementing agency of the Global Environment Facility, the Green Climate Fund and Adaptation Fund, FAO is supporting members to assess much-needed financial resources to scale up and speed up the sustainable land solutions and transformation of agri-food systems to be more efficient, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. It is only working together that we can reach this goal, and I thank you.
Thank you to the FAO, and now I give the floor to the Global Green Growth Institute. You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and pleasure to be here, and thank you for this fantastic organization. The evidence is clear that degradation and destruction of ecosystems by humans increases the vulnerability of people. Loss of ecosystems and their services has cascading and long-term impacts on people and biodiversity globally, increasing climate change, which in turn risks the very existence of humans on the planet. Effective adaptation options, of course, do exist to solve this pressing global issue on drought and sustainable management of lands, which reunites us today. These options include agroforestry, farm and landscape diversification, reforestation, urban agriculture supported by nature-based solutions, and public policies to ensure the sustainability of food systems. These are areas that GGGI delivers for our partner countries, and that the call launched by this COP15 through the umbrella Land Life Legacy from Scarcity to Prosperity embodies. We are a young intergovernmental organization, and we work at the forefront of the global green growth transition. We work with over 50 countries and have over 30 country offices where we are embedded in our partner country governments. We work hand in hand as a neutral advisor and delivery agent. We support both developing and developed countries in the transformation of their economies to a green, inclusive economic growth model to achieve zero carbon, create green jobs, protect natural assets, and enable citizens to flourish. We are providing transformational services that are directly relevant to the challenges we are discussing today in green bonds, project preparation, green investment, debt for nature swaps, and nature-based solutions. And we are supporting cutting-edge pilots in green hydrogen and scaling floating solar PV and electric vehicles, as well as assisting the development of our partner green growth strategies and NDCs. Last year, we mobilized over $7 billion for green activities across our partner countries. We, of course, put women and girls and the most vulnerable at the center of all our work. The problems are known, the global objectives are known, the solutions do exist. And we express the ardent wish that major resolutions come out of this COP15 for everyone's happiness, because without the land, there is neither life nor prosperity. Thank you.
I thank the Global Green Growth Institute for this statement, and I will now give the floor to Monsieur Charles Baïm from Jeunes Volontaires pour l'Environnement de Côte d'Ivoire. Charles, vous avez la parole. Charles Baïm, est-ce qu'il est présent? Il est présent?
He's back there. I think
Oui, donc vous avez la parole.
Monsieur le Président, Monsieur le secrétaire exécutif de la Convention, Mesdames et Messieurs les délégués, Mesdames et Messieurs, tout protocole observé, chers amis de la ligne de front pour la lutte contre la désertification. Mon nom est Charles Baïmé, de l'ONG Jeunes Volontaires pour l'Environnement Côte d'Ivoire, et je suis honoré de parler au nom de 700 organisations de la société civile accréditées auprès de la Convention des Nations Unies pour la lutte contre la désertification, en particulier celles qui assistent à la présente COP 15 ici à Abidjan. Je voudrais exprimer ma profonde gratitude au gouvernement de Côte d'Ivoire et au peuple ivoirien pour avoir accueilli la COP 15 et en particulier les pays parties et aux partenaires qui ont soutenu la participation de la société civile ainsi qu'au secrétariat de la Convention pour avoir facilité l'ensemble de la conférence. Comme nous le savons tous, la pandémie à Covid-19 a fait plus de 50 millions de victimes à travers le monde et toutes les nations ont souffert de ces impacts. Ceci est le résultat de la rupture des frontières de la nature humaine en raison de l'actuel modèle de développement non durable. Les causes comprennent également la poursuite de la destruction des forêts pour la production agricole au nom du profit ou de la rentabilité qui continue de détruire nos sols. Cela a été aggravé par les accaparements des terres à grande échelle pour la monoculture au détriment des communautés locales qui dépendent des sols et de la nature. Au cours des 5 derniers nous avons vu les prix des denrées alimentaires augmenter à travers le monde, ce qui a inéquitablement impacté les pauvres et les communautés marginalisées. En plus de cela, nous constatons comment la guerre entre l'Ukraine et la Russie affecte le système alimentaire dans les pays en raison des limites des organismes multilatéraux, y compris des Nations Unies. Vous me permettrez également de relater la sécheresse qui sévit en Afrique et qui affecte des millions d'individus au niveau de la Corne de l'Afrique, en Afrique de l'Est et au Sahel. Il est donc temps de réfléchir à la souveraineté alimentaire des nations pauvres et en promouvant l'agroécologie, l'agriculture régénérative.
15th session of the COP in document ICCD/COP15/1. And I invite the conference to consider its provisional agenda for the 15th session as contained in document ICCD/COP15/1. In accordance with the Rule 9 of the Rules of Procedure, the provisional agenda was prepared by the Executive Secretary in agreement with the President of COP14. Are there any comments on the provisional agenda? May I take it that the conference wishes to adopt the provisional agenda on the 15th session of the COP? Hearing no objection, it is so decided. I now invite the conference to approve the tentative schedule of work for the 15th session of the Conference of the Parties presented in annex of document ICCD/COP15/1. May I take it that the conference agrees to the proposed schedule of work for the session with the understanding that the conference would make any adjustment to the program as necessary in the course of the session. Hearing no objection, it is so decided. Distinguished delegates, I now invite the conference to consider agenda item 1C, entitled Elections of Officers other than the President. Sub-item I, Election of Vice Presidents. In accordance with Rule 22 of the Rules of Procedures, as amended by Decision 20/COP.2, 9 Vice Presidents shall be elected by the conference from among the representatives of the parties present at the session, such as that every geographical region shall be represented by at least 2 members. The elected officers will serve as members of the Bureau for the session. I have been informed that there is general agreement among the parties to elect the following candidates as Vice Presidents of the Bureau of COP15. On behalf of the African states, Mr. Mwaya Albert Jonathan Stephen of Uganda. On behalf of the Asian states, Mr. Abdul Gassem Al-Sharif of Saudi Arabia and Ms. Zongjing from China. On behalf of the Latin American and Caribbean states and the Caribbean states, Ms. Reina Sotilo of Argentina and Mr. Edgar Hunter of Dominica. On behalf of the Central and Eastern European states, Ms. Narine Akobian of Armenia and Ms. Nino Shikovani of Georgia. On behalf of the Western European and other states, Ms. Julian Wiesenhutter of Germany and Mr. Patrick Raley of the United States of America. It is also my understanding that the rapporteur of the COP15 will be designated following the first meeting of the COP Bureau. Distinguished delegates, we have thus completed the election of the Vice Presidents to the Bureau of COP15. On behalf of the conference, I wish to congratulate all the Vice Presidents on their elections, and I look forward to working closely with them to ensure the successful conclusion of the 15th session of the conference. I now invite the conference to resume its considerations of the item 1F of the organization of work for the session, including the sessions of the subsidiary bodies. As delegations will recall, it has been the practice that, in line with Rule 28.1 of the COP Rules of Procedure, at previous sessions of the Conference of the Parties to establish a committee of the whole chaired by an ex officio vice president of the conference and open to the participation of all parties. The function of this committee is to recommend draft decisions for adoptions by the conference, and its chairperson would have the authority to delegate work as appropriate to drafting groups. The conference may also wish to allocate to the committee of the whole the items as detailed in paragraph 16 of the document ICCD/COP15/1 as follows. Agenda item 2, UNCCD 2018-2030, strategic framework, and the following sub-items. B, review of progress in the implementation of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification Communication Plan and the United Nations Decades for Deserts and the Fight Against Desertification 2010-2020. And C, follow up on the midterm evaluation of the UNCCD 2018-2030 strategic framework. Agenda item 3, promotion and strengthening of relationship with other relevant conventions and international organizations, institutions, and agencies. Agenda item 4, policy frameworks and thematic issues. Agenda item 6, on the program budget and its sub-items. A, program and budget for the biennium 2022-2023. B, financial performance of the Convention Trust Funds. C, report of the Evaluation Office. Agenda item 7 on procedural matters and its sub-items. A, participation and involvement of the civil society organizations in meetings and processes of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. B, participation and involvement of the private sector in meetings and processes of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification and the business engagement strategy. And C, program of work for the 16th session of the Conference of the Parties. Distinguished delegates, I first ask you to turn your attention to the establishment of the Committee of the Whole. May I take that the conference wishes to follow its past practice and establish a Committee of the Whole and allocate to the items of the agenda of the conference that I have just mentioned. Hearing no objection, it is so decided. With regard to the chairmanship of the Committee of the Whole just established, I would like to designate our distinguished colleague, Mr. Francisco Jose Avila of Guatemala, as chairperson of the Committee of the Whole. May I take that the conference agrees to the designation of Mr. Francisco Jose Avila of Guatemala as chairperson of the Committee of the Whole. Hearing no objection, it is so decided. On behalf of the conference, I would like to congratulate Mr. Francisco Jose Avila of Guatemala on taking the chairmanship of the Committee of the Whole. Is Mr. Francisco Jose Avila here? No? It's not here? Okay. Distinguished delegates, I now invite the Conference of the Parties to turn to agenda item 1E, entitled Accreditation of Intergovernmental Organizations, Civil Society Organizations, and representatives from the private sector and admissions of observers. I would like to draw your attention to documents ICCD COP 15/14 and ICCD COP 15/14 Addendum 1. In accordance with Article 22, Paragraph 7 of the Convention and Rules 6 and 7 of the Rules of Procedure, the Secretariat recommends that the Conference and its 15th session of the COP accredits as observers those organizations and private sector entities which are listed documents ICCD/COP 15/14 and ICCD/COP 15/14 Addendum 1. May I take it that the Conference agrees to accredit as observers the organizations and entities listed in documents ICCD/COP 15/14 and ICCD/COP 15/14/Addendum 1. Hearing no objection, it is so decided. Distinguished delegates, it is my understanding that further to consultations among constituencies, as friends of the chair group, to work on a draft proposal for the Land, Life and Legacy Declaration should be established. The friends of the chair group will be facilitated by Ambassador Malan Nyamke Benjamin and Mr. Councillor Bieke Antonin from the COP presidency, and will report on the outcomes of its work directly to me. May I take that the Conference wishes to establish one Friends of the Chair group on matters relating to the Land, Life and Legacy Declaration as proposed. Hearing no objection, it is so decided. The Friends of the Chair group will start its work immediately. Information of the time and venue of the Friends of the Chair group meetings will be included in the daily journal. Distinguished delegates, we have come to the end of our first plenary meeting. Today afternoon, as planned, the Committee of the Whole and the Committee of Science and Technology will begin their first scheduled meetings. The CAR will meet in Plenary Hall starting 3:30 p.m. and the CST will meet in the main committee room starting 3 p.m. The Committee for the Review of Implementation of the Convention will make its first meeting tomorrow, 12 May, at 10 a.m. in the Plenary Hall. This first meeting of the Conference of the Parties is adjourned. Thank you. Merci.
Distinguished delegates, the host country is inviting all COP15 delegates to participate in the cultural event that will take place from 2 p.m. to 2:50 p.m. today at the Plenary Hall, which will include choreography of G. Momboe about desertification and the performance by Kajim and Alif Naba. Thank you for your attention.